Hi there, welcome to my build of this crazy flying wing Voodoo 6. Now, as you can see, I've got the wing fully set out now and I've brought it down to my local airfield and I'm going to make sure the engine runs okay. I haven't had it running with this pipe on, so it's the very first time I'm going to do that. I've actually brought myself a standard Irvine 40 muffler. This is your Irvine 40 engine. And if I have any problems, I can always swap it out. But I'm hoping that will run okay. But we'll have a look at that in a minute. I need to make sure all the throws are right and just double check everything. Now I'm hoping to get a maiden flight in today. Like I say, first time out of the house. Hoping to get a maiden flight in. When I woke up this morning, it was a lovely blue sunny sky, but the weather's closing in a little bit this morning. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, let's take a look at the finished plane or finished wing and see what you think. Right, well, I've just unscrewed the two covers that cover the radio gear and the switch and the electronics in the back here. I haven't done this cover. It's a little bit awkward with the pipe and it's just got the servo for the throttle. So I've left that one in place. Now here, as I said, I've got the radio and the switch. So you do need to remove this cover to flick the switch for the electronics, but it's really easy done. And the alternative of putting the switch on the outside, I really didn't like. So 2mm hex driver and that's off in seconds anyway. Now in the back, we've got the battery and that's positioned for the right CG. It will move if I need to alter that. Bit of foam on top just to stop it rattling. And we've got the servo here for the elevator. Now the elevator is just between two blocks and strapped down with a bit of plywood and a foam just to hold that nice and firm. Now there's a little bit of this nylon strapping which you get around parcels, and that's essentially under the servo because with the servo pushed down like that you can't get your fingers to pull it out around either side to pull it out. It's very difficult to get out, but with the strap underneath it you can just heave it out, either holding either side of the strap, so it just makes life a lot easier. So there we go, that's what it kind of looks like inside with the electronics. Well, hopefully you like that. I'm quite pleased with the overall finish and particularly the decal. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set it up and we'll see how this engine's running. Because it's a wing and there's no undercarriage, I can't just place it onto the table because the prop is going to be catching it. So what I'm going to be doing is I've put it on this plastic container with a towel and I'm just going to butt that up against the stops and that will give me enough clearance on the prop. If I just turn that round, hopefully you can see. So you've got enough clearance on the prop there. And what I'm going to do as well, I'm not sure whether it is balanced. I've got the CG right and I'm quite pleased with that. But I'm just worried that when I get it running it might flip up and the prop will catch. So I'm just going to put a very loose strap around the back end here just to stop that from lifting up. One of the things about a wing, I guess, they're harder to hold when you test running them. But anyway, I'll do that. Just a note on the build, it's more or less to spec. If hopefully you've been following the build. I did add 2 servos into the wings. Now that's probably one of the only changes, including, I suppose, reducing the bulge on the front here. But it's interesting the weight that I've come out with, the finished weight. In the build article it just gives you a single finished weight, and that was £3, or if you're metric, that's 1,360 grams. Now my finished weight came in at more or less 100 grams over that, so just slightly overweight, which I'm a bit perplexed about really, and I don't know where that extra weight has come from, because okay, 2 extra servos, but the radio gear is a lot lighter now, and the receivers, certainly the receivers, than they were when this was designed. I haven't added any extra weight that I can think of. In fact, I've even left the wingtips off, which should reduce the weight a little bit. My only thought is that the balsa that I've used is perhaps a little bit on the heavier side. I did build this when there's balsa issues, and the stuff that I could only get, or at least when I ordered it, the balsa that I could only get wasn't particularly light. It's not really hard, but it's perhaps heavier than I would have liked. But having said that, it's still quite a nice light wing. So even though it's 100 grams overweight, I'm not too fussed about it. I think it will be absolutely fine. When you read the spec about this, the build article that came with the plans, it says it's a very gentle flyer. So I don't think that'll make a lot of difference. Anyway, let's get this engine running and see how it goes. Well, as you just saw, that is running really, really sweet. Lovely pickup, quite a nice idle despite the pipe. So I'm really pleased with that. A little bit of a fuel leak from under the front from the bearing, but I'm sure that's not going to be a problem. It seems to run fine. As you can see, I've got the strap on here, which I think it just made me feel a little bit more comfortable, because that prop is really spinning. So that was a good idea, I think. My only concern with this is it's really, really flipping loud, and I don't know whether that will come across on the recording, but it wasn't good for my ears. Really, really loud. And in the noise conscious kind of environment that we live in today, and where we're flying here, I'm not sure if that's going to cause a problem. I think I'm going to need to tone that down a little bit, and that will probably be putting on the standard Irvine muffler. But what I might try and do, and I've seen a friend of mine do this before, is put the standard muffler on but then run a tube down, and that quietens it down quite nicely, but actually still runs pretty good. So I need to play around with that, because it is very loud, but it does look really sweet, and it was a joy to run, really nice. But I did feel like I needed some earplugs in. So anyway, we'll see how we get on today, and whether we get a chance to fly this. Like I say, the visibility isn't as good now as it was earlier, and I'm just a little bit concerned about how that's going to pan out, but we'll see anyway. Well, with the weather closing in and also this noisy pipe, it doesn't look like I'm going to get this in the air today, which is a bit disappointing. But it's been good to check the setup, run the engine despite the noise, and see how that goes. So I really hope you've enjoyed seeing the finished plane, seeing how it looks, or the finished wing. And if you haven't seen the build videos, then have a look in the description below this and you'll find a link to the playlist where you can see the construction. But this is a great design and it's a great set of plans. I can really recommend it. So thanks for watching.